Ladies and gentlemen, traders, welcome back to another Relentless recap. Guys, as you're tuning in, be sure to hit that thumbs up. And if you're a new viewer, consider subscribing to the channel. We had quite the crazy stock here today in GNLN. Just absolute monstrous momentum, insane volatility. I mean, this thing from pre-market started off very aggressive, very strong, consolidated for a few hours, and then into power hour absolutely took off over 9, pulled back, and then continued to rip higher and higher and higher and higher before unfortunately having an offering, secondary offering into the close and selling off approximately 50%. Now let's talk a little bit about some of the patterns, the edges, some of the trades I took today, and how I was able to get myself up just shy of 2,500 bucks. So let's go back to the beginning, and we did trade two stocks, by the way. We did trade PSIG, which we'll also look at. We traded this one a lot more aggressively than we did GNLN. But let's talk about it here, man. This thing was absolutely insane, and really, I mean, just incredible pre-market start to the day, right? From around 8:32 a.m., the news drops. This thing goes from 256 all the way up to 960 in just 10 minutes. 256 to 960 in 10 minutes. If we can see this into the open, this will be our dream, but sometimes, pre-market is where some of the best action is, right? We can't deny that. 295 plus percentage move before an elongated consolidation, and this did continue into the open. We had some volatility, but nothing really clean. It did start off the day by giving an entry around the $0.50 here at 950, ripped up to 10, but other than that, sold right off to 910, and from there it really became about the dips. 910 dip, 906 dip right here, dip again at 905, and then curled back up to 980. So 870 breakdown, reclaim, that got us to 1043. So there was definitely opportunities in the first 5-10 minutes, but sporadic and tricky price action. So let me show you guys. Some people might say, hey, Relentless, how are you not up $50,000 today, right? We know that you had big green days before. Why were you not super aggressive? Why were you not really pushing it to the limits on a stock like this with 5-10K size? Well, I'll show you guys a little bit of the level 2 here, just to show you how this thing was really moving. My first trade, it's going to be a red trade. So I mentioned coming into the open, there was an entry here potentially around the $0.50 area, if my memory's good. Let's just double check. So we opened up around 50, and I'm saying this is a price action trade. There's no real pattern as of yet. Of course, we're coming down, downtrending here slightly into the open. There's no real pattern yet, but sometimes this is a trade that we will take simply because there's not a ton of selling pressure right away. And we'll jump in there at 55 to see what it does, tight stop. And in this case, it rips all the way up to 10. Now, notice the spread here. There's about a 50-cent spread, 60 by 10. And that spread is going to now climb up to 85 by 86. Then 55 by 80. So, it just wasn't the smoothest of stocks. Wasn't the cleanest. Were there opportunities? The answer is going to always be yes. Doesn't mean that the opportunity is smooth and sweet. We got 60 by 80. So right here is where I'm going to throw out a trade, thinking that, hey, this thing is holding up 60-70 area. It might want to retest $10 to push through. And literally, as I get that thought, it starts to pull back. So, I really needed to wait another moment, really, to avoid this loss I'm going to have here early. So I'm in, and the moment that I'm in, I'm like, uh-oh, it's coming down. And I did get a nice fill 67. If this was going to get up there to 85, 90, 95 break of 10, it would have been a great trade. But there's always the risk on the other side. We know what's going on. So I had to take that loss quickly, man. I had to say, hey, get out. Got out with a decent fill as well. And immediately, it's already at 911. So if I held that trade a second longer, I'd have started the day down 700-800, or like 900 really. Because where was I? 67. Would have been a 50 cent plus loss. Yeah, cool $800 loss to start the day. But again, this is where we started to bounce up a little bit from those levels that I marked out here on the chart, where we, it became about the dips. It became about the dips here early. So it bounced up from that first low all the way. Let's come back a little bit. From that first low of 11. Did I go back too much? Oh. Yeah, all the way down here. It's going to bounce all the way back up. 45 and then over 50. So that was a pretty impressive, dip trade if you caught it. So I'm watching and I'm thinking maybe, I want those lows, but if it doesn't come down all the way, I'll be willing to jump back in. Right here, it's curling up so aggressively. There's 22 on the bids, and you can see from 60 to 20 in no time at all right there. I'm going to take the market entry here to try to get filled. I'm in at 24, watching to see if it wants to curl. I'm back out as the red is hitting the tape and the bids are dropping, but pay attention to the spread. Can we see some tighter spreads? The spread's going to drop to 07, but then it's back at 22. There's 07, but then back at 20. So you can see that the spreads here were not easy, right? So there's 6, there's 5. So what we can do is, of course, hit the bids. And then the ask is back at 38. So we got to try to hit the bids, in those situations. But you can see, again, very quick, very sporadic, not very simple. Sometimes we get a smooth, cheaper stock. Right here, I'm watching to see if it continues through the $0.50. We're getting a few trades, Let me see. Did I catch that dip? I can't even remember how long I was holding for. We go back a little more. 24, we took the loss. And I did try to sell the ask right here, by the way. So watch this. So when I took this first dip, we had 11 by 12. This is me trying to buy this 911 area, right? So I'm back in. I get the fill at 24. But this is why this is risky, right? Market orders are sometimes dangerous because we just had 11 by 12. A moment later, we're seeing 17 by 68. Imagine I got filled at 68. Oh my man. Woo! I could have gotten filled at 68. That's the reality of what's happened right here. So some people will choose to use pure limit orders. Some people will use limit orders with offsets. Some people will use marketable limit orders, because sometimes the pure market orders can be dangerous here, man. In one moment, the moment I got filled, the spread is already, I bought it 911 by 912. This thing is already at 68 on the ask. So I'm going to throw the order on the ask. Can we get filled? There it is. I threw the order at 68. And you can see it, it's even like right here. It's just, someone else is also throwing an order on the ask. And I'm watching to see if any green is going to hit the tape. The bids are at 40. And I'm like, man, this thing might just rip right back up. But then the bids are back at 20. And it's basically going to become a nonsense trade. Nothing. So again, this is kind of like the price action, right? Not to go through the entire archive, but in fact, Marcelo did post his, so you guys can check it out. I'm not a fan of posting the archives, but Marcelo will post them every now and again. So that was the first couple of minutes. After that, we got into this uptrend. So I was in a meeting, and I kind of noticed my level 2 just going crazy. And it's sad because I came back from lunch, maybe like right here. And I looked at the other stock, PSIG, which was the hot stock early, and thought that this one just sold off and never clicked on it. If I did, I could have noticed, right? Because I would have been able to zoom out and see, holy smokes, this thing is right back in this key range where we, if we break through, we can get the new high. If I only had saw this, I would have been keeping an eye on it. And it's possible I would have been able to catch this first move. Because when I came, I saw this thing like already up here. And like, man, it's pulling back. And similar to Triad, one of the other mentors, I was watching this dip and I'm like, man, it just doesn't seem like it's a good dip, because while we did base out a little bit on that first candle, it just seemed like it was gonna drop a little lower. And I never got involved. It ended up going without me. It got halted up essentially here, and I didn't really get to make any money up until this next incline. So positioning. This area here, a little choppy. And I think I could have done a better job trading the dips here. Let me see, at 1501, did I get long at like 1501 for that dip? No, 1504. So I think this is when it came back down. Let's see. No, this is in. So this is for the higher hold here. It's a little bit more risky, but okay, fair trade. So 04, and we can see these candles didn't really have a lot of range. Let's check 07. How did we do around 07? We're in at 04. Okay, 07, we caught a good trade here. In at 10, out at 72. That's pretty deep. And you guys can see I was using a really small size, by the way. The biggest difference between me right now and me a few months ago, like you guys would see, I might end the day flat, for example, up $200, come back at the end of the day, hey, recap, up 8,000, up 9,000. Well, back then, instead of me using 300 shares, I'd be using more share size. So, I've been very, very calm. It's, I'll talk about this stuff some other time, but let's just, to keep it short, let's just say the past store has to be a little bit more aggressive, right? That's bottom line. Have to be a little bit more aggressive. We could have easily been in here 1,000 shares, 2,000 shares, 5,000 shares if we wanted to be, going crazy, right? If we really woke up and wanted to smoke for real. But anyhow, this thing ended up dipping down one last time and then slowly curled up here, got up to 1740. But very disappointing because this was short-lived. But we were watching at it and we knew, hey, we had support all the way down here around 1420. This time it held up, and so we essentially had an ABCD, which is the W. It wasn't perfect, right? But, or even if you want to look at it as a massive wedge, you can also look at it that way, right? Like a massive wedge here. But we ended up getting higher lows versus what we had before at 1420. So we knew it was still alive. It was still in play. And I'm like, any hint of good green here, because I went live in the Discord, live streaming to the entire Discord. I'm like, man, if it goes up with some good buying here, I want to be in. And we absolutely destroyed this area around 40. So we started off looking for break of 16. We sold here just a little too soon, but we're back in. All right, we're looking for break of 16. We're back in at 25. We're out at 50. Small scratch loss here, but back in at 54, out at 88. Let's see, we took a loss here in at 50, out at 37 and 50. Not too bad though. Keeping it tight. There's a bigger trade somewhere. Let's see if we can find it. So we had some losses along the way here, right? In at 80, out at 70. Or excuse me, out at 57. Is this the trade? There's a trade. We had a massive trade somewhere along the line, I think. And you can see here, selling a little too soon. Let's see, in at 07, out at 28. It looks like we needed to hold another 30 seconds or so, because we're buying back all the way at 1680. From 1680, and then, okay, I think this is the trade that we really caught here. In at 1680, out at 1780. There's a dollar share move, and this one happened in a very short time frame. You can see here 1779. I mean, trades like, again, with thousands of shares, these types of trades, I mean, you look back at your P&L, you're up like 10 grand, very quickly. But again, you got to try to keep it tight, avoid the losses. This is another pretty big one right here. In at 1757, out at 1880. In at 1828, out at 1866. So in this area here, we really racked up some really like big time trades. But anyhow, that was this incline right here. And guess what, man? Relentless Trader called out the short. I called out the short because when we got up here, it's like, man, it's this subtlety where we were seeing so much aggression and buying, and then out of nowhere, there's like nobody buying. And I said to the Discord, I'm gonna go short because nothing is going on up here. If I come to order, is it right here? Yeah. You're gonna see I tried to go short at 1551, 351 market time, and my orders rejected. Small size still, 300 shares. And this is 51 right here on this red candle. I think I would have been short around like 25 if I had a decent fill. And from there, it came down to a low of 1964. I was only looking for a dollar a share, to be honest. And this is how for the people who are looking to go short and hold longer for the bigger move down, if I could have thought about that, like, hey, this could potentially be backside. But to be honest, I was thinking, man, this thing has been so strong all day. I wouldn't be looking to hold this overnight, not even close. And so it's like, I know it was looking weak. Can we see a small pullback before it continues? $1 a share, $2 a share move down. And we got that right here from about 2025 or 21.25. Because this drop was big initially from 21.25, where I would have been short, down to a low of 1957, well over $1 a share. I would have already made my money in the first minute. Now, for anybody who might have just said, yeah, they noticed the same thing and just, hey, I'm looking to hold a little longer, stop at high of day. I mean, well, hello, big green day, And more than likely, this is not going to come back up tomorrow. You guys know how it is. Like, there's a less than 5% chance this is back at like 15 or 20 tomorrow. It's possible, but so unlikely. In fact, what's more likely is like $6 tomorrow, probability wise. If it's irrationally strong, that can happen and get back to the highs, but just the odds are is that this is just going to keep going lower. The offering, I think, was for 250, so I mean, it has a lot more room to go. But that was the day, guys. I mean, the other stock was decent. We did just trade it with a little bit more size. I think 3K shares we used um earlier. Once it got over this level, and I got caught buying, I think, right here. Lost initially, but kept an eye on it, knew it looked okay. We had ascending support here. We wedged against the VWAP. We broke out, and it really started to pull away once we got over this high of date 82. And this is where I was actively getting in and out, right in this area here. And honestly, I didn't trade it to the best of my abilities. I could have done better. I did think this was backside. Didn't watch this area. Missed this first green candle going up. A bunch of stuff we could have done better here. But, all in all, a good green. Tomorrow again. Hit that thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. It's been Relentless Trader. And you know what, man? I got to do a better job on those slower days because it's like a day like today, I could just feel that there's no resistance for me to be green. Like, I could come in and I just know from the price action. So days where nothing is happening, man, gotta just don't even waste my time going down 500, 800, 1K, 1 point. It's just wasting my time and money staying on those days. I just need to only trade the days where it makes sense and the days where nothing is going on to not even waste my time, man. But yeah, stay safe, stay green, hit that thumbs up. It's been Relentless Trader. Remember our disclaimer as well as you're heading out. Day trading is risky. A lot of people are having a hard time. A lot of people are losing. So take it slow in the beginning. Become competent and experienced before putting a lot of risk out there. Remember, copy trading is never good. It's all about learning a strategy, a successful strategy, a proven strategy. And lastly, I do not invest for my subscribers. So be careful with fake accounts. I will never reach out to you first. I do not use WhatsApp. I do not use Telegram. Be careful of all those fake accounts and fake apps. I do not do mirror trading. I do not do copy trading. Be careful, guys. A lot of fake accounts out there, all right? I'll catch you guys later.